1967. What a year. I was like 16 going on 17, and music was really taking off big time at that time. 67 was a pivotal year, really. And nothing better than starting off with the Jefferson Airplane. Speaking of taking off, after bathing at Baxter's, one of my favorite albums of all time, you gotta put that in there. And I saw them in 1969 in Toronto, and I could still feel that performance. Can't have 67 without Jimi Hendrix. Are you experienced? Hearing this for the first time, it was like getting hit in the face. It was like, what is this? Purple Haze blasting through the speakers. Love, love, love. You gotta say love many times when you're making these. Buffalo Springfield again. This is their second album, and songwriting was starting to come to the forefront at that time. Neil Young's Mr. Soul, one of my favorite songs by him. Bluebird by Stephen Stills, and Richie Furay was starting to write. Just a good second album. They only put out 3 albums, but Procol Harum's first album proves that they're just more than Whiter Shade of Pale. There's some great Robin Trower guitar on here. He's just starting, but it's like, just love his sound and the way he comes in a song, like halfway through a song, and then all of a sudden that solo comes in, and it's like, always grabbed me. Moby Grape's first album, and they sort of blew this album. They released 5 singles with 10 of the songs on it, and nobody knew what to pick to play, but there's so much great songwriting and playing on this album that it's really hard to resist. Between the Buttons, always been a Rolling Stone fan right since day one, and pretty well anything they put out I like. A little bit of Country Joe and the Fish, electric, what's this called? Electric music for the mind and body. I wonder what you had to be doing to listen to this album. Good album though. Then we're going to switch over to CDs. Oh, Cardinal Sin. One thing I always liked about Bob Dylan, you never knew what was coming next. And when John Wesley Harding came out, just the stripped down version of Bob Dylan, All Along the Watchtower, the original version, I love this album. Love, 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 love. And speaking of love, I didn't even know this was coming next. This is Love Forever Changes. This album took a little while to really sort of catch or click in, but when it did, I have a lot of songs, their songs on compilations, and it's like every time I hear one, it's like, wow, they're hard to describe. And a lot of people really sort of don't like this album or don't think it's that great. I love this album by the Grateful Dead's first album. I could listen to this album anytime. I mean, I've got most of the Grateful Dead stuff, but I keep coming back to this album. Why? Who knows? These aren't in any order, by the way. The order makes no sense to me whatsoever. My favorite Doors album, although the first album came out this year too, but Strange Days. It sort of hit when I was changing my sort of view of things, and Strange Days sort of described it perfectly. Clapton at his very best, Israeli Gears, Tales of Brave Ulysses, and my favorite song of all time, one of my favorite songs of all time, top 10, Sunshine of Your Love. Never got sick of it, never will. Whatever happened after that? And you can't have 67 without Sgt. Pepper's. Not my favorite Beatle album, but when it came out, it was literally everywhere. You could walk down the street and hear this song coming from somebody's apartment somewhere. So, that's my Baker's Dozen of 1967. What a year. Strange Days.